It's the end of October. Day after day the sun, as if it overslept, appears later and later. The night is getting longer and longer, delaying my wake-up as well. At this pre-dawn time, the expectant silence spreads over the village like a light haze. The vociferous roosters are silent, and even the dogs are quiet, mesmerized in anticipation of the day's star. Only a tractor, like an old man, grumbles hoarsely in the faraway field. Though the days are still warm, in the morning, light frost adorns the earth, foreshadowing the approach of cold weather. In the early hour, I often get on my bike and pedal up the hill to greet the sun and enjoy a romantic tune of morning in the country. I acquired this habit when traveling in Siberia. There, in the morning, I also came out of the hut, leaned my shoulder against a large tree, and waited for the sun to appear from behind mountains. A ringing silence enveloped me, and only a light whisper of the slumbering river, sometimes broken by the rattle of floating ice floes, barely reached my ear. Icy serenity, like anesthesia, lulled me to musing. That's why when you sit in the snow for months, you start thinking about apricots. And then what? When you get into warmth and comfort, your thoughts and soul rush again to the north, alas like now. Looks like this condition is incurable. The north does not want to let me go. Well, somehow my thoughts drifted away from my village reality, having moved me 4,000 kilometers east. Ukraine, when the leaves turn yellow. As soon as the sun appears from behind the forest, the gray hair on the grass quickly disappears, and the sounds of autumn begin to awaken the rustic silence. Did you hear the leaves fall? Knock, 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 shh! Thumping on the branches with their petioles, the heavy leaves of walnut, loudly rumbling, leave the tree forever. The higher the sun climbs above the forest, the sounds of falling leaves, like sounds of spring drip drop, grow briskly along with the singing of birds. Starlings, perched on the top of the walnut tree, chirping happily, meet the morning sun. Soon they will fly to the south, so they want to have a long talk. From time to time the peaceful melody of the morning choir is broken by the loud sounds of falling nuts. Having hit the roof of the house, they roll down to the ground with a roar and then, like swift mice, hide under the golden foliage. Well, isn't it a paradise? You can enjoy a morning in the country for a long time, but time does not wait. Indian summer will soon end, and all the beauty of autumn will disappear. I need to have time to look into the forest, procure some mushrooms and find the best place for night adventures. In the field adjacent to the forest, corn has not yet been harvested, and it's so tempting for wild animals. No matter how abundant the yield of acorns in the forest is, sweet corn, like a magnet, attracts wild boars and roe deer. During the day, the animals sleep, and with the onset of twilight, they go on a night hunt. One of these days, I plan to go into the forest at night and watch the cautious thieves, but I need to prepare for that, find a suitable hiding place, and think over escape routes. Boars, especially with a brood, do not like messing around with, even if you have a gun. The forest lays 400 meters from my house. It takes about 10 minutes walking on a block-paved road. Only a few streets remain paved with stone blocks in my village, and I live on one of them. All other roads are covered with asphalt. I've always wondered how it was possible to build such a high quality and durable road with stone blocks by hand. Tractors and trucks drive along it. In winter it is covered with snow, and in spring it gets flooded with meltwater, but it stays as good as new. In my village, not everyone has fences, and even if they do, they are symbolic picket fences. You can always see through them what your neighbor is doing. Serge, hello. Shall I drop in for a minute?
Привет, босс, привет. Привет. Что делает твой папа? А? Тыквы чистит, арбузы чистит. Ах ты, проказник. А ты гавкаешь. Я же свой. Ну пошли в гости к тебе. Пошли? Пошли в гости. Пошли.
This is Sergey, my street neighbor. Each villager, in addition to the backyard garden, has a 2-hectare share of cropland. Some people lease it to farmers, and some farm it themselves. Sergey planted pumpkins on his 2-hectare plot this year. He harvests only seeds and throws pumpkin flesh into the compost pile. Sergey dries the extracted seeds and then delivers them to the procurement point. This year, the price was 70 hryvnias per kilogram. Not a bad income you get if you have a whole truckload of yield. I can't grow such volumes of pumpkin. I planted only 5 seeds on my plot, and they produced about 20 pumpkins. I left a few of them for the winter to eat and disposed of the rest. In the next video, I will tell you about the original pumpkin dish I cook. No, don't you think it will be porridge, but something cosmic and fancy, tasting like mango. It's September. Time to harvest. Time to clear the gardens of everything that has yielded this year. I collect the pumpkins and put them in a pile. Then I cut them and get white seeds out of them. In winter, I will fry and eat those seeds. All people burn these tops, not only from pumpkins, but also from sunflowers, corn, potatoes and weeds. People do not understand that this is a real eco-fertilizer. I don't do it this way, I do it differently. I dig a shallow hole and dump all plant and food waste into it. Then I cover the top with soil. It will all decomposes during the winter, heat is released, and in the spring I will plant cucumbers and tomatoes on these beds. Here is a natural fertilizer for you. Here I have dug holes in the garden where I dump waste. In general, I planted a young orchard here. As long as the trees are small, I use the soil for spot planting. In spring, I will plant watermelons in each hole. They need a lot of space, so the fruit orchard is suitable for them. The plot will not be empty. This is how I solve the issue of plant residue disposal and get natural fertilizer. It's time to deal with these yellow giants. Probably not everyone knows that this is one of the most useful products for man. Why? I'll tell you now. But for this, you need to cut the pumpkins. Let's take a big knife and start cutting. Oof, it's hard. We break it open and get what we were striving for.
Разламываем.
Scoop out these seeds from the pumpkin with your fingers. Here they are, large white seeds.
Пальцами выгребаем отсюда семечки. Вот они, белые. Белые большие семечки. Вот, и, наверное, вот эти семечки,
These seeds are the product that is useful for men.
который полезен для
Therefore, dear men, take note of that. I roast them a little and then they clean well.
съедать. Грамм 100 этих семечек, и никакой виагры вам не понадобится. Поэтому возьмите, дорогие мужчины, на заметку.
In Ukraine, pumpkin is called harbuz. It is used to make porridge. They bake potatoes in small pumpkins. The villagers use pumpkins to feed chickens and pigs. They grate them and add grain. And after getting all the seeds, I give those pumpkins a new life. Now I'll show you where I put them.
Сейчас покажу, куда я ее деваю.
Here the pumpkin will end its life path, decompose and become fertilizer for the next harvest. These are the compost pits that I have already talked about. A couple of days and the seeds will dry out in the sun. Then I'll dry them in the house. Tired you with my pumpkins. I was about to take a walk in the forest. Although it feels warm in the sun, the landscape no longer has that lush greenery that was there in the summer. Autumn colors begin to prevail in nature. Beyond the village, the pavement turns into a field road. I'm heading for the forest. The gardens of villagers are closely adjacent to the forest. Their yield has almost been harvested, only the corn remains. Some land plots are abandoned and overgrown with weeds. Looks like it's winter outside. This is a milkweed. Its seeds resemble cotton wool. They are light and travel long distances, capturing new territories. It has already even penetrated into the forest and feels there quite well. I take this road all the time. Further in the forest, it splits and disappears. When I settled here, I immediately went by it to the forest, without consulting with anyone. I wanted to explore this new territory as soon as possible, learn its secrets, learn how to communicate with it and with its dwellers. I wanted this forest to become my friend, and this requires a lot of time, patience, and concentration. Soon my forays into the forest became regular. They compensated me for what I left in the faraway Siberia. After all, only God knows how I miss and yearn for the north, although I don't believe in the Almighty. It's quiet today, no wind, the last days of Indian summer. One should enjoy this state in nature. The only inconvenience of the Indian summer, you have to do like this all the time to remove the cobweb from your face. Cobwebs are flying everywhere. Cobwebs. Sometimes spiders fall on me and I take them off. It's incredible time of the year. Everything around is colorful, beautiful, peaceful and tranquil. The birds are chirping. In Ukrainian, the month of October is called Жовтень, from the word жовтий, which means yellow. Everything around is yellow.
Жовтень.
Notice how subtly the state of nature is observed, and this state is conveyed in the Ukrainian month names. I hope I will tell you about them in the next episodes.
В следующих своих сериях. Так что следите за будущими фильмами на канале.
The ants are not sleeping yet. It looks like only guards are walking on the top. There is no activity like in summer. The nights are cold already. I often find ant hills. I come close carefully, stop and observe the chaotic movement of their residents. After a couple of minutes, the ant hill seems to boil, so I start to hear the ant stomp. It's time to take off your feet or they'll bite you.
В здешнем лесу живут
Wild boars, roe deer, hares, foxes, badgers live in the local forest.
есть олень и лось.
There are also deer and elk, but there are very few of them and they live in the densest part.
Леса.
It is very difficult to see animals in the forest, especially in autumn.
Когда я иду по лесу,
When I walk, the leaves rustle.
они слышат.
Animals hear me approaching and run away.
Я встречаю
Every time I meet roe deer,
вижу, как их
all I
белки
can
зовут.
see is their white hindquarters flickering among the trees.
Но самое сложное
But the most difficult animal to watch in daytime is wild boar. They are cunning and smart. Meeting them by day is simply unrealistic. Therefore, I will take a thermal imager and go looking for wild boars at night.
ночью. В этот лес
I am afraid it will be an extreme adventure,
это будет
but I am very excited about it.
экстремальное приключение. Здесь, на этом месте,
Wild boars were here last night.
делали кабаны.
They dug up soil everywhere, like if it was plowed by a tractor.
Копали.
What they were looking for here were roots and acorns. It's autumn. The fruits of the oak have fallen and lie on the ground under the foliage. This is the favorite food of wild boars. They walk, dig, and pick them up from the ground.
Увидеть их днем практически
Now wild boars are resting somewhere in a swamp, on an isle, or in deep ravines. With dusk, the animals go to the forest or to the fields and start foraging.
и начинает орудовать.
Wild boars just love wallowing in the mud. They know by heart where permanent puddles are located in the forest and visit them regularly. Apparently boars were in this mud bath last night.
Любая лужа в лесу.
Any puddle in the forest is a source of water for animals.
Вот в этой лужице видно.
Roe deer come to this puddle to drink.
Или кабаны тоже вон там нарыты.
It seems that wild boars also visited here. They dug up the ground and wallowed in the water.
Лежал он тут.
And here is a track. Now let's see who left it.
Что за след?
This is a small imprint left by a roe deer. There are no particular problems with drinking water for animals in this forest. On the eastern side, the forest borders with huge marshlands stretching for dozens of kilometers. From the west, the forest is surrounded by a picturesque river, and in the forest itself, there are water springs at the bottom of deep ravines. Closer to villages, dams were built to make ponds. Here they call them stavki. Beavers live in almost every such body of water. With teeth like they have, it seems they can take down any tree, but apparently this giant was beyond their power.
Сейчас октябрь.
It's October now. The corn has ripened and became the main food source for the forest inhabitants.
Каждую ночь они выходят на это поле.
Every night they come to this field and eat delicious cobs.
Больше съесть этих вкусных ростков.
I'll walk along this cornfield and look for places where animals come out of the forest.
Места выхода кабанов.
I must find a suitable place for an ambush.
Засады.
Cornfields are closely adjacent to the forest. They are the main objects for the night sorties of wild boars and roe deer.
Ну вот, следы
Here are the signs left by nocturnal looters. This corn was gnawed by a wild boar. He munched on it a little and threw it away, went further into the depths of the field.
Кукурузу. Да, хорошо. Дорожка.
This road is full of tracks. Here is another corn cob gnawed by a wild boar.
Тоже
There are tracks of wild boars, roe deer, and foxes everywhere.
И косули, и кабаны, и следы лисицы.
Here, a huge boar left its mark.
Кабан прошел. А такой вот здоровенный. Вот валяется кукуруза.
At night,
Да,
forest
здесь
thieves
немножко
run
просто.
amok. I am even afraid to imagine how many of them are here. They can devour me at night.
Их много здесь бывает. Еще съедят меня. Несмотря на обильный урожай желудей в этом году, излюбленное лакомство кабанов, да?
Despite the abundant yield of acorns this year, wild boars prefer not to notice them and rush to the cornfields. They come at night, stop, listen for danger, go inside the crop and have a feast.
Там
I will wait for them tonight.
будем вечером их поджидать здесь. Кажется, я нашел
I think I found a place where I'll set up a night ambush.
на кабанов. Здесь вот я вышел.
I found an old cemetery. It's a very comfortable place. There are benches where you can sit, tall trees to escape from angry boars, and a table to eat. Just the right place. This is an old cemetery. There are very old graves here. This cross was put in 1869. Not clear, hard to see.
11
The inscriptions on many crosses have already been erased, and it is impossible to read who and when was buried here.
1800 какого-то года этот вот крест. А уже на многих
And here's another interesting monument.
ни имени,
Two pilots who died in World War II are buried here.
вот еще
The name of one of them is unknown.
здесь захоронены пилоты еще погибший во время войны, самолет упал. И один пилот известен, а второй нет. Здесь вот стоит
There is a ladder under the spruce tree.
большой.
What was it here for?
Кто-то
It can be useful to me.
только для чего.
I can climb the tree when escaping from wild boars.
Эта елка. Ну, как раз эта лестница и мне пригодится, в случае чего я по ней заберусь на эту елку. Вот.
I decided to move the ladder to another tree, closer to the bench.
Поближе к лавочке.
Since it will be inconvenient to climb that spruce tree at night,
На елку
you can get smeared in resin, and there is no comfortable place to sit on it.
залезть и сидеть удобно.
Here, near the table, it's convenient. You can drink tea and put your stuff, and use the ladder to climb up the old apricot.
И чай пить буду.
I like it here, though the cemetery setting adds some mysticism to my nightly adventures.
Это старая абрикоса. Так что до встречи ночью.
A roe deer spent the night near the forest clearing. It raked a hole, laid down, and spent the night there.
Это вот вдоль просеки
It's an open space. You can always see and hear the danger.
они разгребут
If something goes wrong, the roe deer will run into the thicket.
здесь и проводят ночь. И смотрят открытое пространство. Вот, в ту сторону, в ту никто не идет. Если кто идет, оп, сразу убегают в чащу.
The local forest, mostly, was planted by man. There are very few places left with primary forest. The old-timers remained only in deep gullies and on steep slopes, where it is difficult to harvest timber. The species composition of the local forest is diverse. Hornbeam, oak, ash, elder, maple, black walnut, and conifers grow here. Among the tree species you can find both as exotic species and fruit trees.
Вот так вот, гуляючи по лесу, можно покушать свежее яблоко. Чистое, экологическое. Растет. Кто-то, видать, когда-то ходил по лесу.
Walking through the forest, you can eat a fresh apple. Someone once walked through the forest, ate an apple, threw the core, and the seed sprouted. Now the apple tree pleases travelers. In the forest you can find pears, apricots, and even sweet cherries. A very tasty apple. No chemicals, all natural.
Никакой химии.
In the local forest, this tree is unique. One might say the only one. I have not seen it anywhere else. This is a cork tree, Philodendron amurense. If you press it, its bark will yield under your finger. It is soft. This tree needs to be protected. I hope it will remain here to grow in its place and will not fall under the saw of lumberjacks. Hello, giant. I haven't seen you for a long time. How old is this oak? 200, 300, 600 years? It's hard to say. Its bark is old and wrinkled, like the skin of a prehistoric dinosaur. How much has it seen in its life and survived? Instead of admiring this giant, there are people who come to this oak tree and disfigure it, burn it with fire, shoot it with a gun. Last spring there were no these scars. Someone has made them. Bad people also come to the forest, unfortunately. They don't care for the nature. I often come to visit this oak tree. It stands on the crossroads. From here, the path splits in different directions, to the swamp, to the mountains, to the village. Every time I come to the oak, I greet him, I touch him, go around and tell him, "See you again." Such giants are very rare in nature. There are only a few of them left in this forest. They must be protected. A unique tree from North America grows in the local forest. It's black walnut, a relative of our walnut. Its fruits are quite hard, so it's very difficult to get the edible core. Walnut wood has a beautiful texture. It's used for production of expensive furniture, and the nuts are also used in medicine. Who can guess what kind of fruit is this? I was walking along the road. There is a bunch of small balls. Look like apples. The skin is easily separated, and inside there is a hard core. It's difficult to see a nut in it. Wild boars like these fruits very much. They will definitely come here in winter.
Эти плоды любят кабаны. Зимой придут сюда обязательно собирать.
For locals, this forest is not only a place for procuring firewood, but also a source of other gifts. This is a mushroom hunter's dream, to find a stump covered with mushrooms and collect a whole bucket at once. These are honey mushrooms, very tasty mushrooms for marinade and frying. I will not take them, I don't have a package. They are already overgrown. You can grind them in a meat grinder and use as a filling for various dishes. For example, dumplings with potatoes and mushrooms. Anyway, I will show you how the villagers prepare this dish. Behind me is an earth mound. This is not just a heap of soil, but a real ancient burial mound. Here, in a small area, there are about 50 of them, and all of them were looted by black archaeologists. But if you go deep into the forest, you can still find mounds that are intact. Come, I'll show you what's in there. Here's a hole dug, 2 meters deep, maybe more. Most likely, black archaeologists did not get to the main secret of this mound, the main grave. Usually in such mounds, the burial was done in the ground, and then an earth mound was built on top. 200 or 300 years or maybe later, the subsequent tribes buried their dead in these mounds, placing the deceased inside the mound. It was these graves that black archaeologists have dug up.
Думаю, что до тайны этого кургана черные археологи не докопались.
These are the holes gaping in every mound. Now, in this piece, foxes make their burrows and breed. Good shelter for them. It's a military aircraft, a Ukrainian MiG-29. The war is ongoing in Ukraine. Air defense works. Almost every day, Russia fires missiles at Ukraine. This forest stretches for dozens of kilometers. Early people, monks and partisans during the Second World War, found shelter here. These are partisan graves. Their feat is honored by locals, and every year they come to this place and take care of the graves. The memory of the feat of their grandfathers and great-grandfathers is remembered by Ukrainian people, and they honor them. I walked a lot today, about 20 kilometers. Approaching the edge of the forest, I noticed a fox poking in a pile of branches. The wind is in my direction. It's a good opportunity to approach it closer. She doesn't hear me. She is eating something. All dirty, ugly, she began to shed hair. She seems to have one eye wounded, so she can't see in my direction. Local foxes, especially in years of scarce food supply, are not afraid to come to the village and steal chickens. Because of that, the villagers don't like them.
Эй, лиса, а куда ты убегаешь? Здесь она колупалась, здесь, на окраине. Подсолнухи, видать, высыпали. Ну, когда комбайн косил, осталось. И мышка, видать, семечки кушала. И она ее поймала и, видать, ела. И не слышала, что я подошел. Вот.
That's all. I walked enough in the forest and I'm going home, to my village.
Иду.
Beautiful forest road.
Вот
The fields around are planted with corn, sunflower, pumpkin and wheat.
полями, на которых
What a heavenly view,
кукуруза,
heavenly place.
тыквы,
Limpid air, the birds are singing. I'm strolling and admiring it.
райское место.
But as soon as I get off the road and take a few steps into the forest, a different picture opens before my eyes.
Моему взору открываются другие прелести. Моё. Люди.
Oh man, what are you doing? Why are you doing it?
Что же вы делаете?
Don't you understand that you can't do that?
Понимаете?
That by dumping garbage into the forest you are killing yourselves, your children, your grandchildren, your great-grandchildren.
Себя,
You are destroying the nature. There is a landfill in the village, why not take it there?
правнук.
You take trash to the forest and dump it into a ravine. Are you thus trying to save fuel or your time? After all this will return back to you, to your body, to the water you drink, to the air you breathe, to berries and mushrooms you pick. You can't do that.
Через воду,
Think twice.
через грибы, через
You live
ягоды,
among nature,
через
it
воздух.
surrounds you, it feeds you, it takes care of you, and makes you happy. And you don't care for it, you destroy it.
Она вас окружает, кормит, счастливыми делает, а вы ее не бережете, уничтожаете. И даже здесь,
Even here, where you made a gazebo to relax in comfort, you throw garbage too.
и гадите.
You come here by car or by motorcycle. Is it really difficult to take the garbage back with you so that you'll be able to return to this place and it will be clean?
Ваш
This is your forest, your land. It's our country, Ukraine.
пожалуйста.
That's outrageous. Here is a surprise for you. Someone threw out the garbage. They tidied up their home.
У себя дома.
Of course, meeting with the garbage pile is upsetting, but those emotions that the forests have given me far outweigh the frustration and raise hope that soon my villagers will understand the simple human truth that walking in the forest is better to enjoy the rustle of golden leaves than to listen to the nasty crackling of plastic bottles and rustle of plastic bags stuck among the tree branches.